sabak.
Hello children, I'm your English teacher. Today we talk about present simple adverbs of frequency. Look at the picture. This is Darren. He lives in London. He is a writer. He works at home. His books are not bestsellers, so he's not very rich. He works a lot, and in his free time he listens to classical music and reads books. Darren likes dogs, but doesn't have a pet. He watches football, but has no friend to discuss matches and goals. His flat is lovely but very expensive. That's why he needs a roommate. So one day he goes to find a roommate company and sees Tim. Tim is a perfect roommate. Just look at his ad. Hi, I'm Tim. I'm looking for a flat. I'm a good guy, friendly and honest. I cook and clean. In my free time I listen to music or watch football. I have a dog, but don't worry, he's very nice and I walk him myself, no problems. Is Darren happy? No, he isn't. Why? Because it's important to know what people do. But it is very important to know how often people do it. Adverbs of frequency: always, 1000%, often, sometimes, usually, rarely, and never, when we do something never. For example, I drink coffee. I drink coffee. How often do you drink coffee? I always drink coffee. I never drink coffee. I don't usually drink coffee. Do you sometimes drink coffee? Adverb plus verb. And what about Darren and Tim? Tim always listens to music, rap music, day and night, so Darren cannot write his book now. Tim often meets with his friends in Darren's flat. Tim usually watches football when Darren tries to sleep. Tim sometimes cooks, but he never washes the dishes. And Tim never walks his dog. Darren always does it. Darren is very unhappy. He made a big mistake. So remember, adverbs of frequency are important. They can change your life. Example: always, often, sometimes, usually, rarely, never. Read about Lisha. I always have the problem. I put off work and usually rush to finish it. I never seem to change, but sometimes I don't mind it. Adverbs of frequency complete the chart. Note, your simple present tense examples will be different. Frequency words, for example with be, examples with the simple present tense always. He is always late. I always study in the library. Usually, you are usually early. He usually wakes up at 7 o'clock. Often. They are often busy. She often works late. Sometimes. We are sometimes in a rush. They sometimes relax at home. Rarely. My mother is rarely angry. I rarely exercise. Never. I am never wrong. The shop never closes. Notes. Use adverbs of frequency to describe how often something happens. Put adverbs of frequency after the verb be. I am often on time. She is never in the library. Put adverbs of frequency before all other verbs. They rarely eat ham. He usually doesn't study. Exercise. I always study hard for tests. I sometimes wake up early. I am never late for class. I usually eat hot dogs. Grammar in content. Read about Tim's sleep. Hi Linda, how are you? I'm good, thanks. How are you? I'm really tired. How often do you get 8 hours of sleep? I sleep 8 hours once a week. And how often do you go out with friends? Every night. That's not very good. Negative statements with to be. Look at the chart. Questions with how often, frequency expressions. How often do you go out with friends? And our answers: once a year, once a month, once a week, once a day, twice a year, twice a month, twice a week, twice a day, 3 times a year, 3 times a month, 3 times a week, 3 times a day. How often do you exercise? How often do you go to the doctor? And answers: every day, every night, every week, every month, every year. Practice asking and answering how often questions using frequency expressions. Notes. Using frequency expressions, you can answer how often questions with just a frequency expression or with a complete sentence that has a frequency expression. How often do you go to the doctor? Or I go to the doctor once a year. Exercise. Ask your partner how often he or she does the following things, then switch roles. For example, eat hamburgers, go to a party, read a newspaper, have a birthday, get a headache. And example, how often do you eat hamburgers? Once a week. Answer the following questions with an adverb of frequency or a frequency expression. For example, are you always early to class? How often are you late to class? How often do you see your friends outside of class? When do you get 8 hours of sleep? Review. Frequency words. Always, always, usually, usually, often, often, sometimes, rarely, never. Examples with to be. He is always late. You are usually early. They are often busy. We are sometimes in a rush. My mother is rarely angry. I am never wrong. Examples with the simple present tense. For example, I always study in the library. He usually wakes up at 7 o'clock. She often works late. They sometimes relax at home. I rarely exercise. The shop never closes. Adverbs of frequency go before the main verbs in simple tenses, but after do, does. My teacher always speaks English. I usually go to bed at 10 o'clock. My sister seldom watches TV. We never eat chocolate for breakfast. She often plays computer games in the evening. We follow the same rules in a question or a negative. They often eat ice cream. They don't often eat ice cream. Do they often eat ice cream? But they go after the verb to be in simple tenses. For example, it is often cold in winter. Adverbs of frequency go after auxiliary verbs. For example, he can never wake up before 10 o'clock. He listens to the radio. He often listens to the radio. They read a book. They sometimes read a book. Pete gets angry. Pete never gets angry. Tom is very friendly. Tom is usually very friendly. I take sugar in my coffee. I sometimes take sugar in my coffee. Raymond and Frank are hungry. Raymond and Frank are often hungry. My grandmother goes for a walk in the evening. My grandmother always goes for a walk in the evening. Walter helps his father in the kitchen. Walter usually helps his father in the kitchen. They watch TV in the afternoon. They never watch TV in the afternoon. Christine smokes. Christine never smokes. Look at this. Which is correct? She never eats meat. I don't usually play soccer. Dina sometimes listens to music. She doesn't usually wear red pants. Wendy and James almost never go to school on Friday. Do you often play the piano? He always wins when we play chess. Do you always take the bus to school? I rarely work on Monday. I don't usually go to school. I don't rarely go to school. And our lesson is over. Thank you for attention. Goodbye.